The standard disability schedule is designed to compensate you for work impairment. It's completely about how much does this keep you from working. Doesn't mean all the conditions are correctly rated, in my opinion. Some of them I think prevent you from working and they don't get a good enough rating, but that's what it's designed for. The special monthly compensation is to round things out because there are burdens outside of not being able to work. So there's social aspects of it. There's just aspects of your everyday life outside of work. So the special monthly compensation is supposed to make you a whole person. It's supposed to round you out and compensate you for all the impairments as much as money can do that.
Do you, off the top of your head, know the different letters of SMC?
I do.
Okay, all right.
So you start with K. K is the lowest level, and that's for loss of use or loss of an extremity. It can be loss of your hand, loss of your foot. It can be loss of use of your hand or foot. Loss of creative organs, so that would be erectile dysfunction or maybe a hysterectomy. There's S. That one's a little tricky. It's confusing for veterans because there's two ways to get there. They call it housebound. VA uses that as their shorthand. Housebound is one way to get SMC-S. So housebound is when you really actually can't leave your house, except maybe with help to go to a doctor's appointment or something like that. So you're pretty much confined to your home. There's another way to get SMC-S though, and that is if you have a single disability at 100%, and other disabilities that combine to 60 or more, that is going to get you SMC-S, but they're still going to call it housebound even though you're not housebound. You're not required to stay in your home just because you get that. So a lot of veterans are confused about that. There's several different ways to get SMC-L. The one I see the most is aid and attendance. That's the regular level of aid and attendance. It's when you need help with your daily activities, when you need help bathing, getting in and out of bed, putting your clothes on. With mental health, you're not safe to be left alone. You forget and you leave the stove on, you might wander off. So aid and attendance is SMC-L. There's other ways to get SMC-L. For instance, if you have lost the use of both legs. There's other combinations of loss of use that can get you to those higher levels. SMC-M is a higher level of compensation, and that's going to be when you're looking at things like maybe loss of use of the hands, which is considered more of an impairment than loss of use of the legs, or it might be a combination of those kinds of things. So that's a pretty severe disability. SMC-O, you're starting to combine things and you're getting kind of complicated. So it's hard to just kind of remember everything. There's a lot of different ways to get there. O could be things like you have aid and attendance for certain disabilities, and then you also have loss of use of the legs or loss of use of the hands, and so you've got two pretty severe disabilities. Those combined together are going to get you O. Now, the aid and attendance, if that's one of those conditions, can't be based on the same conditions that got you to, say, for instance, it's the loss of your legs that got you SMC-L, and then you also have aid and attendance needs. The legs can't be considered in that aid and attendance for them to be able to combine and get you O. It's complicated, and you sort of sometimes have to sit there and write down this is this and this is this and this is how we're going to combine these to get to there. It's a complicated process. If you need aid and attendance, but you are, say, SMC-O, you have these disabilities that have gotten you to O, you have to have O to get to R. If you have O and you have established a need for aid and attendance, then you can get to R1 or R2 if you need a licensed medical professional to provide that care. It's complicated and it's hard to get there. That is the highest level, R2, that they pay out. SMC-T also pays out at the same level. That's for people who can't qualify for R2. You don't need a licensed medical professional maybe to provide that, but the reason you need aid and attendance is completely due to a traumatic brain injury. SMC-T is related to TDI.
So if a veteran is granted TDIU, they can also receive SMC?
Absolutely, yes. In fact, for SMC-S, where you need 100 and a 60, TDIU can be used to get that 100, as long as it's based on a single disability.
Does the VA automatically give you SMC once you've reached that point, or do you have to file separately for SMC?
In some cases they do. For things like erectile dysfunction, I've never seen them not give an SMC-K. A hysterectomy or maybe a mastectomy, they always get the SMC-Ks right on those. Other than that, if they notice it, they will give it to you. It is the better practice to be safe to bring it up because they overlook that a lot. And a lot of times they'll connect your hand, but they don't call it loss of use of the hand. But if you can't pick up coins or you can't write, you've lost the use of that hand. So you may have to bring that to their attention. Same with the feet. They'll grant you service connection for your feet or legs, but they don't take that extra step and say loss of use of the foot. But if you can't balance on that foot or you can't step off of that foot, then you've lost the use of the foot. And so a lot of times you have to bring that up to them. You can file a claim, or if they grant something and you think they should have given the SMC at that point, you can appeal and ask for that as well.
What evidence is most persuasive in proving the functional loss required for an SMC rating?
Medical evidence from your doctor who knows you and treats you, if they're willing to put that in their records or write you a letter, that's really helpful. Another thing that can be really helpful is lay evidence from the person who is providing that help. So if you have a caregiver or a spouse who is helping you shower, get in and out of bed, preparing your meals, watching your medicine, doing those things for you, they can give a statement and talk about what they're doing for you and what kind of help you need. And that's also really powerful evidence.
If a veteran has multiple severe conditions, how do the SMC rules ensure they're not double counted for the same functional loss?
They're going to split that out. If one of your conditions is part of why you get to L, you can't use that same condition to get another L or to get a step up. You're going to have a separate condition in order for that. They absolutely do split that out. They're not going to allow you to use a condition that you use to get to one special monthly compensation to get you to another one.
Hey, Nate here, Hill & Ponton's video guy. The video you just watched is expanded on further in this one right here. Learn something more, increase your rating. As Matt always says, knowledge is power. So go ahead,